Chapter 7. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Kasim and Alibaba were brothers. Kasim was rich with a shop, a fine house, and a lovely garden. Alibaba had very little money. He was a woodcutter with only 2 donkeys and a very small house. So the 2 brothers didn't often meet. One day, Alibaba wanted to cut wood. He took his 2 donkeys and walked a long way. He came to a mountain. There were a lot of good trees at the bottom of the mountain. But suddenly he heard the sound of horses. To Alibaba, the sound meant only one thing: thieves. Quickly he pushed his donkeys away and climbed a tree. Alibaba was right. They were thieves, 40 thieves. They stopped near Alibaba's tree and got down from their horses. Alibaba was very afraid, but the thieves didn't see him. The first thief went to the mountain. He stood in front of it and said very quietly, "Open, sesame." Then the wall of the mountain opened, and there was a large cave. The thieves carried bags into the cave, and the mountain closed behind them. Then they came out again and got on their horses. They went away through the trees. Alibaba was very surprised. When everything was quiet, he came down from his tree. He went to the mountain. He stood in front of it and said, "Open, sesame." The wall of the mountain opened, and Alibaba went into the cave. It was very dark inside. He couldn't see anything for a short time. Then he saw a lot of gold and other beautiful things. Alibaba found his donkeys. He put the gold in 2 bags and put firewood on the top. Then he went home. It was very late when Alibaba arrived home. He carried the bags into his house and showed the gold to his wife. She was very surprised and happy. The next day, Alibaba's wife met Kasim's wife in the town. Kasim's wife liked to know everything. "Why are you happy today?" she asked. "Something happened to Alibaba yesterday," answered his wife. "It's very exciting. Now we're going to be rich." Kasim's wife went home and told her husband about Alibaba. Kasim went to Alibaba's house. "Brother, my wife says you're going to be rich," he said. "Please tell me, how did it happen?" Alibaba said nothing, but Kasim asked again and again. In the end, Alibaba told his brother about the cave in the mountain. Next morning, Kasim left home early and took 20 donkeys with him. He found the mountain and opened the cave. Then he went inside, and the mountain closed behind him. Kasim could think only of gold. He carried 20 bags of gold to the mouth of the cave. He wanted to open the cave again, but he couldn't remember the right words. "Open mountain," he said. Then, "Open cave." He tried 100 ways, but the mountain didn't move. Suddenly the 40 thieves came back and saw the donkeys outside the cave. They opened the cave and ran inside. They found Kasim inside, and they killed him with their knives. "Let's cut this dead man into pieces," they said. "Perhaps other people know about this place too.
When they see the pieces, they'll be afraid."
They cut Cassim into 4 pieces and left the pieces inside the cave. Then they took his 20 donkeys and went away. Night came, but Cassim didn't come home. His wife went to Alibaba. "Please, go and look for my husband," she said. So Alibaba took his 2 donkeys and walked all night. In the morning he came to the mountain. "Open, sesame," he said, and the cave opened. He saw the 4 pieces of his brother on the ground. "The 40 thieves did this," he thought. "Where are they now? Perhaps they'll come back. I have to be quick." He put the 4 pieces of Cassim into a bag and went home. Alibaba didn't want people to ask questions about Cassim. Why is Cassim dead? Who killed him? Where? How? He didn't want everybody to know about the cave. Cassim had a very clever servant girl, Marjana. Marjana always knew the answer to a problem. She went to a doctor in the town. "Please, sir," she said to the doctor, "Cassim is very ill. Please give me something for him." In this way the story quickly went round the town. Cassim was very ill. The next day Marjana went to the doctor again. Later that day Cassim's wife and Marjana began to cry loudly. People in the houses near Cassim's house heard them. "Listen," people said. "Cassim's wife and servant are crying. Cassim was very ill, and now he's dead." "Now everybody knows Cassim is dead," said Alibaba. "But he's in 4 pieces. We can't put him into the ground. People will see him and ask questions. Why is Cassim in 4 pieces? Who cut him into pieces? Where?" Again Marjana had an idea. In the town there was an old shoemaker. His eyes were very bad, and he couldn't see anything, but he was very good at his work. Marjana went to his house and gave the old man some gold. "Come with me, and I'll give you more gold," she said. "I have 4 pieces of something. I want you to make the 4 pieces into 1 piece." She gave him the 4 pieces of Cassim. The old man worked hard all night. In the morning, Cassim was in 1 piece again, and they put him into the ground. Alibaba and his wife and children moved into Cassim's house with Cassim's wife and Marjana. They lived happily for a time. But the story didn't end there. Other people weren't very happy. The 40 Thieves. Chapter 8. The End of the 40 Thieves. When the thieves came back to the cave, they were very surprised. Where were the 4 pieces of the dead man?
"Another person knows about our cave," they thought. "Perhaps the dead man had friends. But who was the dead man? We killed him before we could ask him." "I have an idea," said one thief. "I'll go into the town and ask some questions. Perhaps somebody will remember a dead man in 4 pieces."
The thief went into the town. He asked a lot of questions, but he didn't learn anything. Then he came to the shop of the old shoemaker. He watched the old man at work.
"Your work is very good, old man," said the thief.
"Yes," said the shoemaker.
I can make everything. Last week I made 4 pieces of a dead man into one piece." "Really?" said the thief. "That's very interesting. Who was this dead man? Where did he live?" "I don't know," answered the shoemaker. "A girl came here and took me to a house. I did my work there." "Take this gold," said the thief. "Can you remember the way to the house?"
The old shoemaker took the thief through the streets and stopped outside Cassim's door.
"This was the house," he said.
The thief took the old man home. Then he went back to the other 39 thieves and told them his story. One evening, some weeks later, a seller of oil came to the door of Cassim's house. He had 20 donkeys with him. Each donkey carried 2 big oil jars. The oil seller said to Alibaba, "Sir, I'm going to sell these jars of oil tomorrow. Please, can I leave them outside your house tonight?" "Bring in your donkeys and your jars," said Alibaba. "You can eat with us and stay here for the night." The oil seller brought in his donkeys and jars. Then Alibaba took him inside. Marjana was in the kitchen. She started to cook the dinner, but the oil in her lamp went out. "I know," she thought. "There's a lot of oil in the jars outside. I can take a little for my lamp." She went outside to the jars. When she got to the first jar, a man asked from inside the jar, "Is it time?" Marjana was very surprised, but she thought quickly. She answered, "No, it isn't time." Then she went to every jar. From each jar she heard the same question and gave the same answer. Only the last jar really had oil in it. Something was very wrong. "The men in these jars are 39 thieves," Marjana thought. "The oil seller is a thief too. They are going to kill Alibaba and his family. I have to do something." She carried the oil from the last jar into the kitchen and put it over the fire. When the oil was very hot, she went outside and put some hot oil into every jar. In this way, she killed 39 of the 40 thieves. But the last thief, the most dangerous, was upstairs with Alibaba and his family. Later that night, Alibaba and his family were asleep in bed. But Marjana was in her kitchen. She waited for the thief. He came downstairs and went outside. Marjana watched him. He went to the first jar and said, "It's time." But there was no answer from the jar. The thief looked inside and saw a dead man. He was very surprised and afraid. He ran from jar to jar and found the same thing in every jar. Then he came to the last jar. There was nothing in it. Marjana began to make a loud noise from the kitchen. The thief was afraid and climbed into the jar. Then Marjana carried more hot oil to the jar and put it on top of the thief inside. Now he was dead too. In the morning, Marjana told Alibaba everything. "Thank you very much, Marjana," said Alibaba. "You are a very clever girl. Will you marry my son?" So Marjana lived happily with the family for many years. At the end of the story, Shahryar said to Scheherazade,
Marjana was really very clever. Some girls make clever plans, and then men will do everything for them. Not you, I hope.
"Oh, no, sir," answered Scheherazade. "I only want to make you happy."
Then tell me a new story tonight,
said Shahryar. Chapter 9. The Thief and the Donkey. 2 thieves stood in a busy street in the city. One of them looked at the people and said,
"Look at those people. They're very stupid. I can take something from everybody." "You think you can do that?" said the other thief. "You talk about it, but can you really do it? I don't think people are really stupid. Look at that man with the donkey over there. Can you take his donkey from him?" "Yes," said the first thief. "With a little help from you, I can take his donkey from him, and he will say thank you to me for it. Come with me, and I'll show you."
The 2 thieves followed the man down the street. The man pulled the donkey behind him. The first thief went behind the donkey and changed places with it. At the same time, the second thief took the donkey away. So the man pulled a person, not his donkey, but he didn't know this. The thief walked behind the man for a little way, but suddenly he stopped. The man pulled and pulled. The thief didn't move. So the man turned round. He was very surprised when he saw the thief.
"Who are you?" he cried. "And where's my donkey?" "Oh, sir, don't ask me," answered the thief. "I was your donkey, but now I'm a man again. Listen to my sad story. I lived with my mother, a good old woman, but I wasn't a good son. She wanted me to live a better life, but I didn't listen to her. One night I came home very late. My mother was angry with me. Then I got angry too and started to hit her. She shouted, 'Will you never change, my son? You are as stupid as a donkey. Perhaps one day you'll really change into a donkey.' Suddenly I began to feel different. My ears got longer, and my arms changed into legs. When I tried to speak, I could only make donkey noises." "So you really changed into a donkey?" said the man. "Yes. I ran outside into the street. The next morning a man caught me. He took me into the town and sold me. He sold me to you, sir. Then a very bad time began for me. Sometimes you hit me and didn't give me much food. Sometimes you put very heavy things on my back. Then today I walked down this street, and I saw my old mother. When she saw me, she cried. She said, 'You're a nice little donkey. I had a son, but he changed into a donkey. Perhaps one day he'll change into a man again.' And suddenly I was a man again." When he heard this, the man said, "Oh, my dear brother, I'm very sorry. I know I was often unkind to you, but I didn't know you were really a man. I thought you were only a donkey. Here, take this money. buy food and drink, and go home again to your old mother."
The thief took the money and went away. He was very happy with his morning's work. When the man arrived home, his wife asked, "Where's your donkey?"
"We have no donkey,"
answered the man, and he told his wife the thief's story.
"You were right when you gave money to that man," said the wife. "But you can't do your work without a donkey. Tomorrow go into the town and buy a new one."
The next day the man went into the town. He saw a donkey in the street. He went to it and looked at it carefully. Then he was very surprised.
"This is my old donkey," he thought.
He spoke quietly into the donkey's ear and said,
"So you hit your old mother again, and she changed you back into a donkey. Well, I'll never buy you again." "That was a very funny story," said the Sultan. "But it's only the middle of the night. I know you have a new story for me."
He was right. Scheherazade had another story. Chapter 10. Aladdin and the Lamp. Aladdin lived with his mother in a great city. They had very little money. Aladdin's father was dead, and his mother made clothes for rich people. Aladdin helped her in her work. One day a man stopped Aladdin in the street. This man wore very fine clothes.
"Hello, Aladdin," he said. "I'm your uncle, your father's brother. I came here from Morocco. I wanted to see him, but he's dead. So I'd really like to help you. Perhaps I can buy you a shop."
Aladdin was very surprised. He didn't know his father had a brother. They walked round the city. Then the man said, "It's a nice day. Let's go outside the city." They walked for a long time, and Aladdin got very tired. Then his uncle stopped and hit the ground 3 times. There was a great noise, and the ground opened. Aladdin saw some dark stairs. They went down into the ground for a long way. Aladdin didn't like these stairs, but his uncle pushed him down them. "Listen, boy," he said. "At the bottom of the stairs there's a cave. Go through the cave, and you'll come to a garden of fruit trees. You'll see a dirty old lamp under a tree. Bring that lamp to me. Now go. Be quick." Aladdin was afraid of the stairs, but he was more afraid of his uncle. So he went down the stairs to the cave. He walked through the garden and found the lamp. He put it inside his shirt. Then he started to take some fruit from the trees. The fruit was pieces of gold. He put the gold inside his shirt, too. His uncle waited at the top of the stairs. "Give me the lamp before you climb out. Then I'll help you," said his uncle. But Aladdin didn't like this idea. "No," he answered. "Help me first, then I'll give you the lamp." Aladdin's uncle got very angry. He tried to take the lamp from Aladdin. Suddenly there was a loud noise, and everything went black. The ground closed over Aladdin. Aladdin's uncle wasn't really his uncle. He was a magician. He wanted the lamp in the cave, but the place was dangerous, so he used Aladdin. But now he couldn't get the lamp.
"Stupid boy,"
he said, and he went back angrily to Morocco. It was very dark in the cave. Aladdin couldn't get out. He stayed in the cave for 2 days and 2 nights. Why did my uncle want this dirty old lamp? He thought. He moved his hands over the lamp. Suddenly there was a loud noise, and a large genie stood in front of him.
"I'm the genie of the lamp," he said. "What can I do for you, sir?"
Aladdin was surprised, but he only wanted one thing. "I want to go home," he said. The next minute, he was at home with his mother. He told her his story. His mother was very interested. "Let's ask this genie for more things," she said. So Aladdin called the genie, and the genie came. "I'm very hungry," said Aladdin. "Bring my dinner." The genie brought wonderful food on gold plates. Then Aladdin and his mother asked for new clothes and other things. The genie brought everything. For a time, Aladdin was happy. Then, one day, he saw the Sultan's beautiful daughter in a garden. From that minute, he was in love with her and wanted to marry her. Aladdin dressed in fine clothes and went to see the Sultan. He took 40 servants with him. Each servant carried a gold box with many beautiful things inside. The Sultan couldn't say no to Aladdin. "This man is very rich," he thought. "He'll be a good husband for my daughter." So Aladdin married the Sultan's daughter. The genie brought them a lovely house, and they lived there happily. But one person wasn't happy. The magician in Morocco. He couldn't stop thinking about the lamp. Was it under the ground with that stupid boy? Or did the boy get out of the cave? Were the boy and the lamp somewhere in the city? He had to know the answers to these questions. So he came back to Aladdin's city. The magician put on old clothes and bought some new lamps. Then he went round the streets of the city and cried, "New lamps for old lamps! New lamps for old lamps!" People laughed at him and brought their old lamps to him. "This lamp seller is stupid," they thought. The magician changed their old lamps for new ones. Then he stopped outside Aladdin's house. Aladdin was out, but his wife sat at a window. She saw the magician and said to a servant girl, "There's a dirty old lamp in my husband's room. Give it to that man." When the magician had the lamp in his hands, he called the genie. The genie came and said, "Sir, what can I do for you?" "Take me, this house, and everything in it to Morocco." A big black cloud came down over the house. When the cloud went away again, Aladdin's house wasn't there. When Aladdin came home, he cried, "This is that magician's work. What am I going to do?" He went to Morocco and looked for his house. After a long time, he found it. His wife was inside. When she saw Aladdin, she put her arms round him. "You're here, my love. I'm very happy now," she cried. "The magician comes to see me every night. He wants me to forget you and marry him." "And my lamp?" asked Aladdin. "Where is it?" "He carries it with him." "I have to get that lamp," said Aladdin. "You will have to help me. Put something in the magician's drink tonight." That night Aladdin waited in the next room. His wife put something in the magician's drink, and he slept. Then Aladdin cut off his head. Aladdin took the lamp and called the genie.
"Sir, what can I do for you?"
The genie asked. "Take this house and everything in it back to my city." Aladdin and his wife flew back home and lived happily for many years. But the lamp always stayed with Aladdin.
"How many stories do you know?"
Shahryar asked. "I know stories for 1,001 nights. And when I've finished those stories, I'll think of new ones. Then I can never cut off your head. But I don't want to kill you. I love you, Scheherazade." So Scheherazade won the Sultan's love with her stories. She loved him too, and they were very happy.